that they've had.
Speaking of young offensive linemen, can you guys, being former offensive linemen, can you tell this early whether Sorsdahl is going to be a player or not?
No. I mean, not with 100% conviction.
Right.
I think he did some good things this year, but no, as a 5th-round pick or 6th-round pick of William and Mary, like he's going to need more time to do.
So he's going to need time. There needs to be more experience. There's a lot that goes into his development.
So realistically, how long would it take a mid-round draft choice at that position, whether it's guard or tackle, or center for that matter, to be a really good functional NFL player?
I think TJ brought up a good point. Coming from William and Mary, if you got a guy who is coming from Alabama, Ohio State, USC, Michigan, like one of the top programs, I think that transition can happen sooner because you are the speed with which everything operates and the level with which you're operating is different. If you're coming from William and Mary, there's a lot more that has to happen mentally as well as physically to get up to speed. So it's not that it can't happen between now and next year, but there's a lot more experience that he needs at this level.
Yeah, and for me it was, I became a full-time starter my 3rd year. That's when I really think I felt comfortable and ready for that opportunity. The first couple years I started a couple spot games for injuries and whatnot, but really it's probably that 3rd year. And look, I came out of Eastern Michigan, right? Kind of not that much different than William and Mary, right? But there's other guys like Jonah Jackson, who was 3rd-round pick, comes in day 1 starter, right? But like John said, Ohio State played in the Big Ten at Rutgers, was probably better equipped to fit in faster. I like Colby Sorsdahl. I think he does a lot of really good things. I think this is always going to be a big offseason for your rookies because coming out of college, we all know that you're going into training for combine. You know what I mean? You're not training to be an NFL offensive lineman. You're training to jump the highest vertical and run the fastest 40 and run the fastest shuttle and bench 225 as many times you can, right? So this, for me, is the first offseason that NFL young players have to develop, to make sure they're doing things right in the weight room. You don't have to worry about running a 40 or vertical. You're never going to do that the rest of your career. You know what I mean? So now you get to focus on developing as an NFL player. That's where I think you hear coaches talk about all the time. That's where they expect their players to take the biggest jumps between year 1 and year 2 because it's what they're able to do in the offseason.
Real quick, since you brought it up, does that mean in your minds, when you look back at the combine, how important is it?
For offensive linemen?
For anybody.
I mean, look, I think there's certain players where, certainly people want to see how fast receivers run and running backs are and defensive backs. And
do that at pro
I think
days.
some of the testing is a little bit ancient. I don't think, honestly, a 40-yard dash gives you that much insight into an offensive lineman.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just don't. I think maybe if you take the 10-yard splits, okay, this guy's got some power. He's got some explosion. But you see a guy running 40 yards. Okay, who cares if when's the last time an offensive tackle ran like a 4.7 that turned out to be worth a crap? You know what I mean? Like there's so many freak athletes that just stink at playing football. I don't know if there's a way that they can adjust the combine just to make it more offensive lineman drill centric. I know they already try to do a lot of those things, but
push legs.
I don't know. A lot of the testing numbers,
I've always felt
I don't put much stock into it.
They need to revamp the whole combine thing because when you're bringing in the top 250 or whatever that number is players in college football, you kind of already know, and a lot of those guys opt out. They're there just taking up space. I would rather see. Maybe not the next 250, but maybe you give a pass to the top 150 and you see them at their pro days, but you see the next 250.
Right. Well, what's interesting
and evaluate them because you don't have as much contact with those programs or those players.
Well, Brad Holmes said in the 2021 draft what he loved about it because it was the COVID year, there was no combine. Yeah. So you just went on
watch film.
And he definitely hit a home run.